Hello and welcome. I'm your host Elizibar, and this took a lot to figure out, and I don't even know that I figured it all out. It's a mess. So the issue at hand is this dude named Varian Grant. That's his portrait in the middle of the bottom row, and his wife, who has many names: Lola, Krista, and Indie Princess, are being accused of running some weird grift. There's actually multiple grifts involved here, potentially, because there's also this dude named Luke Stone, and is that him in the middle of the top? There might be him in the middle of the top there with the purple backlight of doom. Because she collected money for him because he was in the hospital in a coma, and her PayPal got froze or something. I don't know. There's a lot there. We're not going into that one. Because honestly, that's just probably PayPal being PayPal. If I'm honest, PayPal is scum. The way they treat people, the way they just unilaterally decide to freeze accounts for terms of service violations, for things that a bank would not close an account for. Unethical. So we're not going into that. But we're going to talk about the Varian Grant Spencer's Gifts thing. And I got a bunch of pages of notes. And I'm probably not going to reference these notes because I've went over this so many times trying to make sense of it that I don't think I need them. So I'm going to shut up. We're going to play this video. This is from DA and Vicky's stream, I think. Yeah, here it is. You can see that. And we're just going to watch this for a second. So let me mute myself.
Here's some answers. What's the deal? How did the distribution deal start? How did you trick 6 creators into printing out tons of books and sending them to you? I want to start at the beginning.
Let's just go down real quick.
You don't know what bad business does to people. Motherfuckers out here in these streets grinding, giving everything they got to make these books.
Exactly.
And
Okay, I do want to say this guy on the far left over there, apparently his name is Matt Fowler. I have no idea who he is or how he's involved in any of this, but he's been harassing them over this. He's like a rabid chihuahua with rabies. You know, he's got no teeth. He's got hydrophobia, and he is just looking for somebody to chew on for a while before he keels over and dies. That's what he is. That's what he's got going on. And he just came on this stream and he started going at these people. Now the middle person, who's just the little symbol there, Varian Grant, he had a stroke just 2 weeks ago. Apparently he's got some kind of brain condition where he has their TIAs. I'm not quite sure what that stands for, but apparently they're mini strokes, and he gets them periodically, and it takes him a couple days to recover from them. Kind of crazy, but I'm going to take them at their word on that one. Some people are accusing them of faking that or whatever. Maybe, but I'm gonna accept that one because the way he acted on his own video that he put up just the other day, there's definitely a little bit of something going on there. So this Matt Fowler dude comes in, and he's just this obnoxious chihuahua attack dog, going crazy. I think I said rabid with rabies. Yeah, definitely double the rabies there. Double the rabies. So here's kind of an overview of the situation. So Varian Grant got contacted by a middleman who he says is named B2B squared, business to business, books to bucks is the phrase that gets used. I found a B2B squared, and we'll look at that later. I don't think it's the same one. And they were like, hey, send us some books. He sent some books in. They were like, hey, these are great. Our client that we're working with on the other end of this deal, they want to order a ton of stuff to put into their stores to sell a bunch of stuff. And that other client happened to be Spencer's Gifts. And real quick, I didn't believe Spencer's Gifts existed, but I made a trip to my mall Wednesday while I was out comic book shopping. And sure enough, Spencer's Gifts exists, much to my surprise. I thought they had gone bankrupt and went out of business, but they still existed. According to their website, they got 600 stores. I went in there. There were no comic books, and I didn't see a likely place to put a comic book rack unless it was just right next to the register or something with the other little tchotchkes and things. Otherwise, Spencer's had the usual crap inside. Brand t-shirts, adult stuff, lingerie, and crap. It's just the same stuff Spencer's has carried since I was a kid, and I probably should never have been allowed in a Spencer's store as a kid, but hey, whatever. So that's just a little side note. So Spencer's does exist, so such a deal is possible. Now, Varian is like, this is cool. They want books? How many books? And they're like, oh, they're looking for 9 titles a month. 9 titles a month. That's a lot of comic books. At 2,000 units each. So you're looking at 18,000 comic books. Now, in Varian's stream that he did on, it was like a Twitter broadcast, and I think it also went to Facebook. He's talking about, he mentioned like the prices that were involved. Somebody else was willing to maybe buy the books, and they were going to do like 50 cents a book, whereas Spencer's would have paid more. So that kind of leads me to think Spencer's was probably paying like $1 a book. Let's just go with that number. So you're looking at like $18,000 of revenue a month. That ain't bad. And he gets like 6 of his friends involved, some of which are on this stream. Luke Stone, the other 2 people in the top, I believe, were also in on this. There's a lot of people involved here, and I don't know everybody's name, so I'm not even going to try to list everybody out, but he's going to get like some of his friends, and so they're going to go in, and hey, you know, if everybody contributes like something to this, you know, you're looking at like $2,000-3,000 a month, and that ain't bad. That's maybe not life-changing revenue, but that's certainly like you can live on ramen if you own your house or you have a good rent agreement. Like, you're looking at, yeah, you can probably survive on that kind of money if you're careful. Especially if you live somewhere that's relatively cheap. Okay, so now fast forward a little bit. They sign a contract, and Varian talks like, he says some weird stuff about the contract signing. That they had to view it in their, like, some application, and it could only be, it was like time limited or something, so he could only look at it so long, and there was also an NDA where he couldn't show it to the other parties to the contract, i.e. the people he's buying books from. A contract like that will have some non-disclosure components typically, because there'll be something saying, hey, you can't discuss what it costs for the books. Like, you can't say, hey, Spencer's is buying these books for 98 cents each. Like, you can't say that, because then that would affect Spencer's ability to conduct similar negotiations with other businesses. But usually, showing parts of contracts to people or explaining the contract, like, there's usually not a blanket prohibition on that kind of stuff, at least in my experience, which I'm going to admit is very limited. Okay, so we made it up to the contract signing. So people go to get their books printed. So now we've got 27,000 real comic books. Varian was going to buy like 1,000 of each book himself to distribute through his company, which is here, Liberty Entertainment Distribution. And I can't find any evidence that they've like done real work, because this website is woefully out of date. This company, for example, changed names. They're now Hyperion Comics. You can see it right here. Or Hyperverse Comics, something like that. It's the same person involved. It's John Rhodes, but the company name has changed, so that logo needs to be updated. I'm not sure I recognize any of these other logos when I looked at them. For what that's worth, which is not that much. But I'm just saying, he does have a company that does real business with at least one company I recognize. So it's a legitimate company selling legitimate products. It's not like his distribution company is fake. It's just not very big. This Matthew Fowler dude, he goes on for a while and he's like, how many books have you sold? How many books have you sold in the last 6 years? And it's pretty insufferable. And I think I just like hurt my voice trying to mimic his frenetic hatred. I am being a little unfair to this guy, because I watched Varian on his video, on his own video on Twitter, and I straight up, just from the way he's acting, I believe the dude really did have a stroke. And so being hyper aggressive to somebody who's like a stroke victim, that's not really cool. That'd be like if somebody went after that Luke Stone guy who was like in a coma for months, or some just absolutely ridiculous stuff. It's like that. That's not cool. You can tone down the aggression and still get to the points you need to make. You can tone down the aggression and still ask the questions you have to ask. All right. So we made up to, they get the books. The books go to a warehouse in Michigan. They get sent to New Jersey to another warehouse where they're supposed to get picked up. And this is where stuff starts getting weird. Because in one telling of the story, the books were in Michigan and somebody was there to let the trucker into the storage unit. but that person like unlocked it and left, and then the trucker something, and nobody's quite sure what at that point. But there's apparently no bill of lading, which means the transaction basically didn't happen. The books may have moved locations, but if there's no bill of lading, if there's no paperwork, if the trucker, who I don't know that they know the trucker's name, but if the trucker or the trucking company don't have a record of the transaction did not occur. Anyway, the books make it to New Jersey. Now, apparently they're supposed to go to New York and do a signing somewhere. It's not really specified where they're doing the signing. At some point, it sounds like it's at Spencer's Gift. At some other point, it sounds like it's somewhere else. Then it was canceled or moved, or things start getting really fuzzy in the story, as Varian tells it, no matter where the story is being told. But they show up at a signing, a bunch of them, maybe all of them, to sign some stuff, and Varian gets a new contract that he can't show anybody, and he has to sign that day. Like, this is getting sketchy. This is super sketchy. You can see whoever Dojo Kun Comics is. Apparently he's a fraud examiner. Okay. Being a fraud examiner, just having just the contract in absence of other records, I don't know necessarily that you're going to get a whole lot out of that, but he's apparently going to look at this on his channel on YouTube, which apparently I'm guessing is Dojo Kun Comics, so you'll be able to check that out there. He's going to do that tomorrow, I believe is what somebody said. Okay, so the books made it to New Jersey. They do the signing. Then things just keep getting weird. Like, the books are at a warehouse in New Jersey. The books are at a warehouse in New Jersey. Nobody needs to be present to pick the books up from the warehouse and take them to Spencer's. That's what the warehouse is for. The warehouse has a manager. The warehouse manager will sign, like, do the deal. He will be like, oh, yep, let's see, you're here to pick up pallet number 117382. All right, that's right over there. We'll have the forklift guy move that for you, and he'll get it on the back of your truck. Like, that's how that sort of transaction goes. Maybe the trucker has to move it himself. My dad used to be a trucker among his many careers. So that's how that sort of thing works. Varian, nobody involved in this has to be at the warehouse, because that's literally what the warehouse manager's job is to make sure the paperwork for the transactions at the warehouse are in order. Now, maybe in New Jersey they do it differently, because they do a lot of stuff in New Jersey differently. Like, I was at the Newark airport. Every airport employee was wearing this like slick little vest, so you knew who they were. Some other dude that's not you pumps your gas. Like, they do some weird stuff in Jersey. So maybe in Jersey, the owner of the books has to be present to do the transaction. I'm not sure. But we're on our like third or fourth very sketchy thing now. So the books never get picked up in New Jersey. Varian is fielding like complaints from Spencer's, like, where's our books? Where's our books? Where's our books? He gets a letter. He gets like a piece of mail that has like 3 things in it. Like, there's a letter, some paperwork, and a check. And at this point, he like gets a lawyer. The lawyer says, don't cash the check, but they cash the check. At some other point, funds were distributed to people, and Spencer's took the money back. Things get fuzzy and weird at this point. That's all I'm trying to impress, is things get really sketchy and weird, and when Varian is retelling this stuff on his own video, he sounds that way. Anyway, so that's going on. I'm going to play Tyler here, his opinion on this whole affair.
There was a deal gone. It's just a deal gone bad. And I was talking with someone who knows all these cats and whatnot, and they're just like, all this was just a bunch of people in over their freaking head. It was a bunch of people just in over their head. They were not ready for something like this.
Now, Tyler makes a very good point. Like, a lot of this stuff just sounds like people who don't know what they're doing, getting into a deal that they're not ready for, and then not keeping track of all the details. That's what it sounds like a lot to me. There's some really sketchy stuff. Varian made some very bad decisions. If you're ever going to be in a business transaction that's for multiple thousands of dollars, especially if it's a monthly recurring multiple thousands of dollars, get a lawyer. Get a lawyer. A lot of their pain probably could have been avoided right at the beginning if Varian had been like, hey, I'm going to go spend like $500, get a lawyer consult, have him look at this contract so I can understand what my actual obligations are to do. Because if you don't know what your obligations are, if you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, how are you going to be doing them? Because probably the contract specified like particular dates when things had to reach Spencer's. Now there's a lot of things here. He names the company he's working for, but he doesn't name the shipping company that's supposed to be responsible. Either the one that went from Michigan to Jersey, or the one supposed to go from Jersey to Spencer's warehouse. And also the books came back to Michigan, so now they're in the storage unit, but he no longer has access to the storage unit. They gave the key to somebody else that they trust. That's weird. That is super weird. But Varian says he's going to give everybody their books back and get them their money back. And I kind of believe him when he says that. If he doesn't do that, it'll be really obvious. Okay, let's see. We haven't done that. Yeah, so the books like get there into New Jersey, and they sit in the warehouse. They don't get picked up for whatever reason on any date when they could have been picked up at literally any time by a reputable trucking company at a reputable warehouse. The books are in the warehouse long enough that the warehouse is like, look, you have abandoned your merchandise under state law. We're going to liquidate it. See ya, sucker. And so Varian like pays them money to keep it in the warehouse. That's probably $1,000 or something. So now at this point, if you're me and you've watched all these people talking about this thing, you're probably confused as to what happened, who it happened to, when it happened to them. I sure am. Well, it is a mess. And I think part of the mess is that Varian is not particularly capable of explaining everything that was going on. So here's a little stream he did on Twitter. I found it like the next day. And this is the interesting part. He calls the middleman company. He calls the company that set all this up and leaves them a voicemail. Okay? I'm going to mute myself and I'm going to hit play here. And hopefully this is loud enough you can hear it.
I want everybody to know that I didn't. I want everybody to hear something. This is important, I feel. I've never did this on the air before, but I'm gonna call the company that helped me, and maybe if they're there, I can get some answers. I don't think they're open yet, but we're gonna find out. And, we're gonna see. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I gotta put it on speaker. I apologize. Hmm.
Business books to bucks, serving clients such as Books A Million, 7-Eleven, Walmart.
Okay, while the dude's like naming off the different companies they work with, business to business, books to bucks. And if you listen closely, my background is in academics. I worked with a lot of people that were from China and learned English as a second language. And to me, the person speaking on the phone here sounds like somebody that is maybe from Hong Kong or something, because they speak with a similar tone to their voice as what I'm used to hearing from some of my former colleagues, and also he's speaking with a British accent. So maybe he's somebody that was born in England. I don't know, but I'm not hearing anything except a British accent spoken by somebody who maybe didn't speak English as a first language. So that's kind of my point, is the British accent part. All right, so I'm gonna go back and play the rest of this.
Walmart, Spencer's Gift, FYE, and more. You've reached us outside our normal business hours of Tuesday through Thursday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Hello, this is Varian Grant from Liberty Entertainment Distribution Group. Please call me back at your earliest convenience. I have some questions. Thank you.
All right, so the reason I played that is I think this is the most important thing that's developed out of all this. He says the name earlier in the video, maybe it's like the 5-minute mark, of B2B squared. and you can find them. You can't find that business to business, books to bucks thing through Google searching. B2B is way too common a phrase. There's a million books with B2B in the name. There's a million companies that do B2B. If you search for business to business, you're going to get nothing. And the books to bucks thing, unless I don't understand how to spell the words books, to, or bucks, or any variation thereof, including numbers and stuff, I can't find it. Absolutely can't find it. So this is the only lead I got right here. B2bsquared.com. And we'll just click over here because I want to get to their corporate addresses. Because, oh, maybe I didn't need to go. Here we go. Brookfield, Wisconsin. So I called their phone number the other night. It was about 1 a.m. because I wanted to make sure I was well outside of business hours so I would get the "we're not open" message. And when I called that number, the person who responded, or the voice that responded, was a pretty standard Wisconsin accent. Oh yeah, you betcha. You know, they had the Wisconsin sound, which makes sense because the company is in Wisconsin. Now, it's entirely possible that there's another office somewhere with a phone number that's different, and that's who Varian's communicating to, and so he's getting a different after-hours voicemail message. But what I got does not match what he got. So I don't think he's communicating with this company, unless it just happens to be a different office or something, or maybe they rotate their voicemail message frequently. That, I suppose that's an outside possibility. He also named off somebody. Hold on, let me see if I wrote that down in my notes. I looked this up, and I couldn't find any record of this person or that they existed as an employee of this firm. Let's see, Varian Grant, BTB, books to bucks. I got so many notes here for this, man. It's like I'm scribbling all kinds of stuff down. Let's see, B2B squared, the Spencer's. Oh, he also says the buyer from Spencer was a woman. Grand Rapid Comic Con tweeted the GoFundMe. Oh, no, that's for a stroke. That has nothing to do with this. Don't tell me I lost. Oh, hold on. I got another piece of paper with notes on it. Man, I have written so many pages of notes here that just trying to wrangle them all is a little crazy. Carl, here we go. He says the person at business at B2B Squared that he's talking to is Carl. I went to B2B's website. There's no Carl on it. I went on LinkedIn. I can't find a Carl that works at B2B. So that's weird. And also Carl, he said he was a co-owner or manager, which means he's probably would be listed on the website as, hey, this is somebody you can talk to, because they have somewhere on here they have like their team, which is like 5 employees. Is it here? Yeah, here we go. There's no Carl. This is my point. There is no Carl working here. But Carl also had a Spencer's email, which maybe that's not so weird because sometimes when you work for people, they will give you like a corporate email account that you can use for communications with them internally, so the message doesn't go out on the open internet. That's not unheard of. But there's a lot of weird stuff here. Varian's first mistake is that he decided not to get a lawyer right away. If somebody sends you a contract with a weird provision, like you literally can't show the contract to anyone, the first thing you need to do is take it to a lawyer, because they cannot forbid you from showing something to a lawyer in that way. Like, you cannot abrogate your rights like that unless you choose to, and you should never do that. So that was Varian's first mistake. Varian's second mistake is he's talking about it. I should not have been able. Yeah, let's go back to this. I should not have been able to learn anything about this situation. You shouldn't be talking about this kind of stuff on streams. You should be talking about this stuff, speaking it into the void. You're just opening yourself up for trouble, Varian. Like, I don't know who you are. I don't know you from Adam. I don't know you from Eve. But you shouldn't be talking this out here. People are like going at him hammer and tongs and saying some messed up stuff. I think DA said like they're, and this is not my opinion, they're drug addicts. I don't know anything about these people except what I've seen. But like that accusation was made. I've seen crazy things in some of these chats, like, hey, they're gonna burn down the storage unit for the insurance money. Okay, sure they are. Uh, yeah, the arson investigator would find that out very quickly because it's really hard to fake an accidental fire. Uh, I don't think so. I have been over this like 17 different ways on just tons and tons of paper, scribbling notes, drawing diagrams, trying to figure this out. And I can't figure out what's in it for Varian. If this is a grift, I can't figure it out. If he is grifting, I can't figure it out. There's no profit here. So let's run through some scenarios, okay? Arson. Not going to work. They will be arrested. You will not get away with that. Option 2. He's going to keep the books. I guess that's option 2. But here's the problem. He can't get rid of the books. If he does that, if he keeps the books and tells everybody that they've been lost or whatever, which is not what they did, it's not what they said. He says, I have the books. I want to give them back. But if he kept the books and tried to sell them, people would know. People would know he's selling them because Joe Shlomo or Billy Ann Bob would show up at whatever convention, buy the book off their table, hold up and for like a selfie with the book and be like, I just bought, I don't know, what's a silly name? I just bought Jimmy Ray the Avenger #5 from Varian Grant. And then Jimmy Ray the Avenger's artist sees that and goes, I didn't sell that book. And then the jig's up. And now you get arrested for grand larceny. That's enough money. I think that's like grand larceny territory. So that can't be it. Varian never got money from the creators. So he's not taking money and running. They all printed the books themselves and sent them to Varian. So that can't be it. Option 4. He's taken the money from Spencer's and running. He hasn't run. In fact, he says Spencer's is going to sue him for breach of contract and fraud, which is definitely not a good way to make money. For him, anyway. Might be a good way to make money for Spencer's, but it sure ain't going to work out for Varian. I can't figure it out. I can't figure out how he is going to come out of this ahead. And I've done some awful hard brain thinking about that particular item, about that particular topic. All I can think is the middleman. If there's a grift here, it's the middleman that's doing the grifting. That company I looked up is the only B2B squared I could find. I can't find Books to Bucks as the operational name or motto of any company that's out there. I may not be looking hard enough. My Google flu for searching company names, I am going to just straight up admit that is not my forte. I'm doing the best I can here. But that phrase doesn't come up. This sort of makes me think that the grifter is that middleman company. B2B squared has a different after-hours voice message when I called it than what he heard on the phone. We can go back and listen to that again if you want.
Okay, everyone can hear me.
Yeah, come on, bro. Come on, buddy.
I want everybody to know that I didn't. I want everybody to hear something. This is important, I feel. I've never did this on the air before, but I'm gonna call the company that helped me.
Oh my gosh, I rewound too far. Here we go. He's getting ready to hit the button. Here, he's hitting the button. Oh, and when I called, it rang.
Serving clients such as Books A Million, 7-Eleven, Walmart, Spencer's Gift, FYE, and more. You've reached us outside our normal business hours of Tuesday through Thursday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern.
Aren't those weird business hours 3 days a week for 6 hours a day? I think those are weird business hours. If you're in the business of selling to big corporations, you don't generally get the option of only working 3 days a week for 6 hours. That's not how that works. When an executive from FYE wants to call up one of their suppliers, they call up one of their suppliers. When an executive for Books A Million goes, we need to call our supplier for this product up and clarify something, it's not going to be, oh, well, we can only call them between 11 and 5 p.m. Eastern time on 3 days of the week. No, he's going to be like Monday morning, 8 a.m. Hey, I want that B2B, B2 bucks to whatever account. Call them. And if they don't answer, that contract ain't working out in the future. Like, that's really weird. There's so many suspect things in this message. When I called the phone number for the company I found, the phone rang like 10, 12 times before the answering service kicked in and picked up my call, and I heard a Wisconsinite speaking to me. It wasn't, I don't know if he was sitting there with it ringing before he hit speakerphone, but I did not get anywhere near what he's getting.
Eastern Standard Time.
Hello, this is Varian Grant from Liberty Entertainment.
So I also didn't wait for the ding before I hung up. It was like, oh, this is a Wisconsinite talking. That's weird. And then I hung up. So, I guess it is theoretically possible that after the gentle Wisconsinite spoke, then this other individual would have come on the phone. But come on. That's stretching. That's reaching for nothing right there. He also, in this particular video, talked about how he had to send money in to get enrolled in the B2B Books to Bucks program thing so he could be connected to vendors that would want to buy his product. I guess from his perspective, there'd be customers that want to buy his product because he's the vendor in this case. So part of me is thinking, and I think he said that cost $75. I think he said that cost $75. So here's what I'm thinking. Either it's like Tyler said, and this is just the weirdest business deal that ever went bad, and it's from people getting in way over their heads, not consulting experts, not talking to lawyers when they need to talk to lawyers, not getting a business consultant to help them out with the big deal. Either it's something like that, or somebody is pretending to be another company entirely and grifting them for like $100 and causing tens of thousands of dollars worth of damage, destroying reputations, destroying lives. Somebody in here, in the course of all this stuff, said that one of the creators took his wife's retirement money to make a comic book for this deal. Absolutely crazy. It just absolutely is crazy stuff. So I have spent a lot of time taking notes and thinking about this and trying to make heads or tails of it, trying to make this thing make sense. And thus far, I can't make it make sense based on the reported information to me. The things I've seen on streams, because there's no news articles, there's no press about this. So I've watched several streams to try to get to the truth. And what I'm left with is a very incomplete picture that does not explain any of what was going on. So I've tried to summarize what I could. I've made a little bit of conjecturing. And if you're Matt Fowler, I also apologize for kind of going off on you earlier. But dude, whoever invited you to those streams really shouldn't have, because you don't have the right to pop onto somebody's stream when you're not involved in the business deal. And it doesn't sound like you're in the business deal. It sounds like you're some third party that is like me and is very interested in the goings on here. And I don't know. It just struck me bad. It struck me poorly. And yeah, I'm going to shut up. But I apologize to you if I was a little harsh with my comments. I know they were out of line. I know my comments were out of line, so I'm sorry for that. But we're like a half hour into this thing, so it's a little late for me to go back and fix it now, because there is no way I'm going to be able to re-record this thing. It just is what it is. So you all out there, you have a great day, great night, great whatever you got going on. And, there's a lot going on here. A lot of these same people, I guess I'm going to rescind we're ending the video. A lot of these same people were involved with another company called Terraform Comics. Two of them have had serious health challenges. There is a lot of stuff going on with this group of people, and I implore all of you, you may be friends. You may be very good friends. You may not be good friends after this particular deal went south. But if you still are, please, I implore you, do not do business with each other ever again. Because what friendship you have will get consumed by the business. It will be destroyed by the business. As soon as a bad day hits, like you all are seeing with this deal, your friendship will suffer. And it's usually better to value the friendships you have for what they are than to try to do business with people. There's an old saying, don't mix friends and business. It's a good saying. And I think after a couple failed business ventures together, you probably shouldn't do it anymore. All right, I am going to shut up now. You all have a great day, great night, great whatever you got going on. And boy, if you're going to enter into any big business deals, think about it really hard. You all take care of yourselves, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye-bye.